Introductions. The thermal insulation is the reduction of heat transfer between objects in thermal contact or in the range of radiation influence. Thermal insulation can be achieved by specially designed methods or processes, as well as by suitable object shapes and materials. In the instructions industry, aluminium foil is also used as a top layer or insulating material, such as stone wool, foam insulation panels, and lamellar mats in the insulation of buildings. Foil insulation can prevent radiant heat loss all year around. In summer, it can prevent heat from entering by reflecting sunlight. In winter, it can reflect heat back inside a room, keeping it warmer. Most people understand that foils makes an excellent insulator. We see it used in so many different applications, not just buildings, and that is a number of valid reasons.
The main point that must be taken seriously in this item is the material that is used as heat insulators in greenhouse building. The main function of heat insulation is to reduce the heat of each building. In this case, the material will be used should have some specific aspects such as safety precautions. The material should be safe to handle and install at any place or temperature, not flammable, has higher specific heat capacity, and the cost is not that exorbitant, so many individuals can afford it.
Next, for the second question of component of need, whose key is needed specifically, give example of components or individuals. Foil is a material that has good thermal insulation. Most of us already know that foil makes an excellent insulator. We see it used in so many different applications, not just in building, and that's for a number of valid reasons. It works completely different from other insulation. To explain why, we have to know that the lower the U value, the better. But foil is different because foil does not work by preventing the conduction of heat, but it works by reflecting radiative heat back towards the source. It is also a great benefit from foil and a great reflector of thermal heat and also through it, but it conducts heat well. Companies like cooking companies or food preparation companies really need foil because it really fulfills every need. Foil is used to keep food warm, soft coolers cold, and is even used in housing insulation. Furthermore, it is hygienic, non-toxic, and helps in keeping the aroma of food. It keeps the food fresh for a long time and provides protection from light, ultraviolet radiation, oil and grease, water vapor, oxygen, and microorganisms.
3. How often do people experience this problem and when? Thermal insulations refer to the process of reducing heat loss to a calculated value, individual for each area and object. This term is similar to the concept of thermal insulations, which means the protections of an object from the negative exchange of thermal energy with the air environment. In other words, the object of thermal insulation is to maintain a certain temperature indicator of the object. Indeed, in the afternoon, the weather is very hot, causing those of us inside the house to also feel the heat. Therefore, we must use heat insulations such as aluminium foils inside the house, especially of the roof of our house.
Aluminium is a metal, so it will conduct heat. But it is also reflective and can block airflow, so it can be a decent insulator even though it is not traditionally considered an insulator. Yet, the way aluminium foil is produced is also worrying. The raw material used in aluminium is bauxite, which must be mined. This process takes quite a bit of energy and greenhouse gas emissions. Those gas emissions will turn into toxin that will be thrown into the sea or gases that will become toxic for the environment and humans. Producing more aluminium will produce more contamination. Instead of producing more aluminium, it can be recycled. Recycled aluminium can be used to make a wide variety of products from car parts to food containers. The manufacturing process for this kind of aluminium involves melting post-production or post-consumer scrap metal to produce a new material with similar properties. This will help the environment much more because of less aluminium will be produced.
Next, I will be explain to you what will happen if that need is not met. This is where the crucial part happens, when the product does not meet the standard that it should for certain reasons. The first reason is the energy consumption. It has to be tested first to know that it has proper insulation so that the buildings will be more susceptible to heat loss during cold weather and heat gain during hot weather. Second, the financial burden will increase significantly without proper insulation because the higher energy consumption will result in higher utility bills and decrease the quality of the product for the user. In this situation, the test on the product is important to prioritize proper insulation to mitigate these consequences and ensure energy efficiency and occupant well-being in buildings.
The unique approach that can be made is by doubling the bubble foil layer to increase the time of conduction. Single bubble insulation has one layer of bubble sandwich between the external layers while double. The second type of external layer, often called bubble reflection insulation, includes two layers of metallized, low emissivity surface, one on each side of the bubble middle part. This type is recommended for long-term application because it typically comes at a higher price, but you see a return on investment in time. Logically, the foil layer makes the insulation more robust, thicker and stronger, and ensure a big thermal break. So it's common to use both internal and external insulation for projects where you want.
2. What is your solution, broadly speaking? Aluminium is often installed to retain heat, and aluminium foil on the roof can reduce heat. Aluminium foil as heat insulations that really saves energy and cost. This is because the price of aluminium foils is reasonable and affordable for everyone. We can also install it ourselves because it is easy to install. In addition, it is also effective for cooling the house and can reduce the greenhouse effect.
Next, for the second approach, what is your solution, broadly speaking? Easy assembly and installation. Most heaters have a simple form of discharge. Some are easily installed on heat-insulated surface without the need for special skills and equipment. It saves around 10% heat. There are a couple of different techniques when installing our foil insulation. Firstly, measure out the area where the thermofoil will be installed and cut the roll of thermofoil to the correct length to fill the room. Then, place down with the reflective side towards you. After that, check your insulation is flat and there are no air bubbles anywhere. If there is, it is easy to just push them out. Lastly, staple the insulation onto the floor wall, placing it. Keep it tight to ensure it stays flat. Therefore, it is possible to increase the efficiency of the heating system by an average of 20%, which causes an increase in the temperature of the heated room by 2 until 3 degrees Celsius. Foil is so easy to install yourself, so there is no need to pay a professional to do it. This is why we believe our product is the best. Not only does it work amazingly, it is a fact that anyone can install it themselves. We are so confident you will love it.
Bubble wrap insulation is made up of 1 or 2 layers of foil with encapsulated air bubbles pressed in between the layers. It is a radiant barrier, which means it has the ability to reduce radiant heat, keeping your home, office, pole barn or warehouse cool and fresh in summer and comfortably warm in winter. But it needs to combine with other insulation options in colder climates to beat heat loss due to convection. For instance, stone wool, foam insulation, panels, and lamellamette. It also should be kept clean of dust, which may pose some problems. For example, when installed under the roof, we can't avoid our roof and house to be clean from any dust. So it's quite hard to take care of those bubbles.
Next, I will be explaining about approach that technical issue to solve. Other than that, the design of the insulated product should be held accountable because it can impact its thermal resistance. Heat transfer must be prevented by ensuring proper coverage and getting rid of any air gaps or thermal breach. Lastly, the product design has to be user-friendly for this specific application and environmental factors to provide the most effective insulation.
In a nutshell, the material chosen should have the optimal specific heat capacity so it can be used for a long time. We majority would choose bubble foil as the best material to use as heat insulator in green building. The bubble design can reflect the heat and can reduce more heat in the greenhouse building.